Hello everyone and welcome to Automate Live. I'm Jim Beretta from Customer Attraction Industrial Marketing, and I'm here with Colin Phelps from Convergix. Colin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jim. Happy to be here.
And Colin, how did you get involved in industrial automation?
Oh, wow. Probably about 25 years ago. I started at ATS Automation, another integrator, and was developed business development skills with build-to-print opportunities within life sciences.
Well, now we're both smiling because, of course, I used to work at ATS Automation a long time ago as well, so it's kind of fun. So you're with Convergix. Can you tell everybody a little bit about Convergix?
Sure, yeah. So Convergix is a company that's actually been around for about 30 or so years. We're made up of several brand names that are well-known around the world, global, and we specialize in medical device and high-speed assembly systems.
And you've got all kinds of different locations. Like I know in London, Ontario, where I live, there's a location there.
Absolutely, yeah. So out of London, we actually have two nice facilities that specialize in food and bev, but also do a lot of consumer product assembly and packaging systems. We also have a complete AMR or turnkey AGV solution provider. So we actually design custom solutions in that space.
And so what are you seeing a lot? Now you're attached to medical device and you've got a lot of background in medical device, correct?
That's correct. Yes, I've been doing that for the last 20 or so years, specifically medical device automation assembly systems.
So what are you're having a lot of conversations with medical device manufacturers. What are they saying to you? Like what's happening?
Right, so I mean, obviously we know that things are becoming more point of care, so smaller, faster, rapid results. And so what that requires is more complex assembly systems that are diving into other technologies that are required, like AI and heavy-duty vision inspection.
And are people talking to you about reducing risk as well in their automation?
Great question, Jim. Yeah, so life science is all about risk reduction, as you well know. And especially in this space, if we can get up front with a proof of principle or a proof of concept, which we do very frequently, it takes the risk down dramatically.
And so what does that look like if I'm a medical device manufacturer? I've just heard of Convergix and I want to reach out and find out more about how that looks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, really the idea is to come up front, bring the product, bring the solution, the process that you think is going to be best suited to assemble a device, and we'll take it from there. And we'll identify the risks and the areas where we need to do some additional engineering and upfront studies. And we'll point that out, we'll work with your team, and we'll find those, and we'll come up with an iterative process to dive down and find solutions for that assembly.
And so when you're talking to these medical device manufacturing, like what's keeping them up at night? Is it like that beyond risk reduction? Is it time to market, or what are some of these things that they're thinking about?
Right, so anytime a medical device manufacturer comes to a company like us, like Convergix, they want to make sure that we're a low-risk solution provider. So what that means is our credentials. Like what have we done? How do we reduce risk? How do we make sure that we understand the processes and that we have the right subject matter experts? So we just really have to show and prove our credentials ahead of time.
So you were kind of mentioning earlier too about some of the technologies that Convergix is made up of. You mentioned AGVs and AMRs and such, but you've got a lot of experience throughout the company. What are some of those technologies look like?
One of our divisions actually specializes in really high-speed feeding systems. So that's, upwards of 1,200 parts per minute feeding systems for medical device assembly. Additionally, we have cannulation and cannulators, world-class cannulators that end up very extremely high OEE.
When these manufacturers are looking at this, that's taking that expertise. What else are they looking for? What about project delivery and time to market?
Right, so we understand how to schedule a life science project. We understand the risks and also the milestones that are required to properly deliver a system. So we're more humble and more conservative in our approach, declaring the schedule, if you will.
Tell me a little bit, I know you can't talk about customers, right? Or brand names or anything like that, but give us some examples, maybe some of the projects that you've worked on before or that you're working on or looking at Convergix.
Oh, great, thanks. We're really strong in the blood collection systems and solutions, so cassettes, cartridges, and that sort of thing. We're also very strong in drug delivery device assembly lines, pen needles, and other kinds of injector systems.
And you have to be really good at FDA, right? And dealing with all kinds of regulatory compliance.
Yes, so most of our team that works in that space understand GAMP5 and also 21 CFR Part 11 for all the data tracking and the modularization for those systems.
Now, before we came on today, we were talking a little bit about AI and medical device, and you had some interesting comments about that.
Right. No, so, the challenge with AI is you have to be very careful about how to get that approved. We're still working through, and I think it's in the early stages, to really explore and exploit the total facets of AI in this industry, just because of the validation requirements.
Just because AI is a good example for some industries, it doesn't mean it's always good for other industries, and so that's that kind of slow walk.
I absolutely see it eventually, proliferating. But right now, I think things are going slow because people are still trying to understand what are the best use cases for AI in medtech and life sciences.
Let's talk a little bit about project management of these large assembly systems, because I think that's one of the challenges with automation companies building automation for med device is project management.
Absolutely. A good project management will make or break the project. So our engineers and project engineering solution specialists are the strongest and most experienced team members of the project. And so they can lead, they can identify early on milestone changes and deviations and work with the customer to come up with great solutions.
So we talked too a little bit about kind of doing these engineering studies, like these upfront engineering studies to reduce risk and such. Is that something that's still things that you do?
100%. If we can get up front on a risk portion of a project, we will. And that's just to lower everyone's risk and make sure the project goes as smoothly as possible.
And so what are maybe some other technologies that you're working with? Are you doing a lot of work in robotics and a lot of work in vision?
Yes. Anytime so I guess yes and no, depending on the rates. Robots are great for a certain cycle and throughput. But other than that, we're using a lot of vision-based solutions to verify quality and inspection. And of course, there's traceability. And how do we do that? And how do we ensure that we validate each process?
And so you probably have a lot of data that you're generating on behalf of your clients, right?
Where do we put that data? How do we store it? So a lot of our actually one portion of our company is dedicated to data collection and the back-end architecture for collecting and analyzing and then presenting that data to the customers for making it useful.
When you're handling their data, the next part probably is other services like remote diagnostics. Is that something that you're doing, or how's that working, and how's it changing too for manufacturers?
I'd like to say that as we're getting deeper and deeper into the Internet of Things and collecting of data, how do we present that data, how do we share that data remotely is becoming increasingly important. So I think that most customers nowadays are actually looking for ways to present the data and also, for example, showcase and highlight issues and problem areas that they can attack to drive their OE and their systems performance up.
You're mentioning OEE, so now I'm interested. What kind of OEE are people looking for in their medical device systems and automation systems in general? And has it really changed very much?
Yeah, so they're looking for 100%, Jim, but we know that's not possible. No, truthfully, I think everyone's trying to target an 85% world-class OEE as a baseline.
And are you also having a general conversation about the return on investment for, I kind of think we should talk a little bit maybe first, but what are some of the motivators behind people putting in automation? Labor's hard to find. What are some things that are happening out there?
Yeah, great question. A lot of customers are finding it harder to find skilled labor and keep them. And it seems to be people are leaving more and more often and skipping and changing companies. So the staff that are in charge of manufacturing are becoming increasingly scarce.
And there's less engineers in the field, right? So you have to make your automation systems easier, yes?
Yes, and more robust.
And so now, I'm going to ask the question again. What are customers saying about ROI? Because I'm kind of thinking that they don't have a choice, but still there's always somebody asking about ROI.
Right. Yeah, so it's a delicate line because you know that at the end of the day they're looking for dollars and cents. And they're going to do the math and make sure that the ROI makes sense. But I see the ROI trend is increasingly getting pushed a little bit outwards, which is good for us builders.
So if I'm a medical device person, I want to reach out to you. Kind of what does that journey look like? The first conversations, the first NDA. What do I do?
Right. You can find me on LinkedIn, which is Colin Phelps, Collin Phelps. And I'm on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me there. And we're going to talk through the project, and we're going to kind of just make sure it makes sense. We're going to talk about the volumes and the cycle and the installation locations and other variables to whether or not it's a good project.
So do people still send you parts and are these the days, or is it all done electronically now?
No, samples are absolutely essential. Getting engineers and the subject matter experts to have parts in hand is a critical part of the process. And the earlier on we get those, the earlier we can flag issues that might be snags on the design for manufacturing.
And, one of the last questions I wanted to ask was a little bit about some of the technologies that you offer within the company, and one was about conveyance. So what's happening there?
So we're exploiting multiple ways to convey products, but a lot of asynchronous manufacturing. So track systems that allow you to decouple and assemble systems and process in parallel so that your total throughput remains constant.
So, and these are intelligent robots, if you like, or conveyors, right?
Right, absolutely. And we've even done some projects where you have pallets on a plane, and they can run in either a 2D space in any direction, and that's quite interesting as well.
So it's kind of like it's a great time to be in automation because you have so many opportunities. You have so many opportunities for data and to be able to control every facet of the automation process.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a kid in a candy store. When I visit a factory and I see something novel or cool for the first time, that's the reason I'm in this industry.
And where are you building the systems now? Does it depend, or it depends where the client is, or?
Oh, that's a great question. We actually have 8 manufacturing sites globally, including 5 just here in the U.S. and then 3 in Canada, and then we have some in Europe, 3 in Europe, and we have some in Asia as well.
That's great. Colin, thanks very much for coming on to Automate Live.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
And if people want to find you here at the show, you're...
I'll be at the Convergix booth the rest of the week.
Excellent. Thanks,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you.